Hello, and welcome to SKT 305 Introduction to Pāṇinian Grammar. My name is Varun Khanna, and I will be your guide on this journey through the ocean of Pāṇinian wonder. Have you ever thought of language as a technology that we wield? We're all born with the capacity to communicate with each other. But as we grow up, we learn language like a game whose rules we don't know. Every time we make a mistake, someone corrects us. They say, "It's not yesterday I doed it, it's yesterday I did it." And as we grow up, we feel like we have learned more and more of the rules, and we become more and more adept at this game that we play. But what if there was a way to perfect this technology? What if there was a way to learn all the rules of the game? What if there was a way to become an independent generator of the game? The ancient Sanskrit grammarians discovered a way to optimize this technology. And the subject matter of this technology optimization was known to them as grammar. The study of Sanskrit grammar is about perfecting language. It's about understanding all the rules that go into making language what it is. By studying Sanskrit grammar, you not only become an effective user of Sanskrit, but you also become an effective user of whatever language it is that you know. For the ancient Sanskrit people, language was not just a tool for communication. It was also the tool by which they understood the Vedas, which was a corpus of divine revelation for them. So as time went on and they continued to speak in Sanskrit, they continued to communicate in each other, naturally the language evolved. This happens to us too. The language we speak today is not the language we spoke 50 years ago or 100 years ago. But for us, it doesn't matter that much. We call it the evolution of language. But for the Vedic people, this was catastrophic. The change of language was not evolution, but devolution. It was corruption. And so for them, it was imperative that they figure out a way to stop this process of language change. So they invented a subject area. They invented a branch of knowledge called grammar. And grammar was a way for them to come up with rules that codify how the language works and therefore preserve it as it was. But many grammarians came and went, and they offered their own contributions to the development of, this branch of knowledge. But it was understood that their grammars were incomplete at best. It was understood that they never fully encapsulated the extent of Sanskrit. Until one day, somebody named Pāṇini, who we're going to hear a lot more about throughout this course, came around and wrote a system of grammar which was about 4,000 lines of code, 4,000 pithy lines of Sanskrit, by which he codified the entire language, not only the language of the Vedas, but also the language that people were speaking then and there. He never asked anybody to change what they were already doing, and that was probably part of why he was so successful. In any case, he developed this grammar system, and it became so popular that since the time of Pāṇini, Sanskrit has not changed. And I don't mean that Sanskrit hasn't changed in the sense that there has been no new vocabulary added to the language. Rather, what I'm saying is that the rules by which words are recognized as Sanskrit or not Sanskrit, the boundaries of what constitutes Sanskrit, has not changed for the last 2,500 years. That means that what Pāṇini did was bind up the flow of the river of language change while creating a provision for infinite language generation. He perfected the art of language. And that is what we are going to be learning in our class. You might be wondering what's different about this than the other Sanskrit stuff that I have learned before. Well, I think of learning Sanskrit in an ordinary classroom like learning how to drive a car. You learn how to push the gas pedal, you learn how to push the brake pedal and turn the steering wheel to use Sanskrit as a tool for communication and interpretation. It gets you from point A to point B. But in the study of Sanskrit grammar, our concern is with how you build the car. It's about opening the hood of Sanskrit and looking at the engine and understanding why this vehicle works. Why am I able to go from point A to point B? And what is the optimum vehicle for getting me from point A to point B? That is what we are going to be learning in our class. I think of it like the difference between a driver's education class and automobile engineering 101. You don't necessarily need one to study the other, but they do come together in order to perfect your study of Sanskrit. In our class, we will be using Pāṇini's textbook called the Ashtadhyayi, his book in which he wrote his 4,000 lines of code, and another of his texts called the Dhatu Patha, that is a list of all the roots of Sanskrit and their meanings in order to study Sanskrit grammar from scratch. We will be starting from the absolute basics all the way from the alphabet. This class is going to be a joy. A lot of times people say that studying Sanskrit grammar is supposed to be difficult, it's supposed to be dry, it's supposed to be boring. But in our class, we are going to make this study extremely joyful. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be something that brings about an opening of your mind, the likes of which I promise you have never known before. So I cannot wait to welcome you to this class, and I'm very excited to get started with all of you. Namo Namaha and Swagatam.